On today's video, we're going to tell you all about the most common complaints we're hearing from people that move to the Raleigh area from out of this area and out of the state. And if you stay until the end of the video, we're also going to give you some juicy details on what the locals are saying about all of the newcomers. Hello everyone, this is Chris Morton, one of the co-owners of the Morton Bradbury Real Estate Group. So we have helped many families over the years move from out of state, out of the area, into the Raleigh area. And so this video is based on a lot of the feedback we've received from those folks, as well as comments that we've gotten here on this channel from viewers like yourself. But before we get started, a quick disclaimer, this video is not intended to be negative. And frankly, it's extremely rare to find someone who moves to the Raleigh area and absolutely can't stand it. That's simply because the positives greatly outweigh all of the negatives that we're going to talk about here on this video. But we just wanted to share with you some of the complaints we've heard frequently so that you're kind of prepared as to what to expect moving here to this area. And we also must say nothing in this video is our opinion. It is simply based on what other people are saying, so please do not shoot the messenger. So with all that out of the way, the first thing we hear commonly people complain about moving to the Raleigh area is there's construction going on everywhere. This is something we hear people say all the time. And look, Raleigh, North Carolina is one of the top, if not the very top, most rapidly growing cities and regions in the entire United States. And growth equals construction, unfortunately. There is constant road construction going on around here. Projects seem to drag on forever. Falls of Neuse in Raleigh, North Raleigh, if you are not familiar, has been under construction for somewhere between 2 and 200 years. I'm not sure which. It seems like they finish a section, they move on to another section, they mess around with it, and then they go back to the original section to mess around with that a bit more. Those orange cones and orange big giant barrels, just like I see them in my sleep dealing with this. As well, Interstate 40 and Interstate 95 south of Raleigh have been under construction for years and years as well. It's super frustrating. Doesn't seem like it's ever going to end. Also, the area of I-440 around West Raleigh and Cary, that's another area of constant construction, and it goes on and on and on. I could sit here for hours and detail all of the projects that are either ongoing or upcoming in the Raleigh area. Bottom line, this is just a factor of the hassles of a growing area. You're gonna have road construction. And of course, beyond the road construction, there's also neighborhood construction going on all the time as well. So you can imagine if you buy a new construction home, this is something you're gonna have to deal with for a while. Imagine being one of the very first homes built in a new construction neighborhood, and you've got to put up with 2, 3, maybe 4 years of banging and dirt moving and noises and that beep backing up sound that the big giant trucks make. You've got to deal with that for a number of years. It's super frustrating, super aggravating, probably going to get a few nails in your tires. And yes, you're going to have a brand new home that you get to live in. You're probably going to get a really great deal versus what the neighbors that you're going to have that are going to move in a few years are going to get on these homes. But it's still a bit of an inconvenience. It's still a bit of a hassle. And bottom line, it can be a nuisance, just like that road construction is. Just know that this is a growing pain that we're all experiencing together. Kumbaya, we're all experiencing it together. And it's caused because of the growth of our area. There are many regions of this country that would love this problem. They are dying. People are leaving in droves from certain other parts of this country and moving to the Raleigh area. They would be very jealous of all the growth we're having. So it is a pain in the backside, but just know that it is part of the growth that we're experiencing here. The next big complaint we get in this area is pollen. So allergies can be a huge problem here. There are folks that have moved from other parts of the country to here to the Raleigh area, and all of a sudden they've never had allergies their entire lives, and it explodes on them here. Isabella on our team was a former client of ours. She's gone on to be on our team, phenomenal agent. I will never forget the day that Isabella called us and said, I'm dying. Isabella, what's wrong? I can't breathe and I keep sneezing. I had to go take some of my Claritin pills, drive to her house and hand her a baggie full of Claritin pills. I felt like a drug dealer, but she's now prepared, and we literally have this running joke because she and I both have seasonal allergies in the springtime. We have a running joke as to which of us are going to start earlier and earlier in the year to prevent getting the allergies. I think she set the record this year. The last time we had the 2 inches of snow, she started her preemptive allergy pill taking. So it's just know that this is a big frustration that exists here in the area. It's very lush, lots of greenery here, so therefore you're gonna have a lot of those invisible pollens that cause the allergies, and unfortunately we have a lot of pine trees here, so you're gonna get that delightful pollen film on everything for a couple of weeks early spring caused by the pine trees. We jokingly say that there's winter, spring, summer, fall, and pollen season. Those are the 5 seasons we have here in the Raleigh area. So this big dramatic event usually happens late March, early April. Takes about 2 weeks of aggravation. Do not recommend when you move here that you get your car washed during all that period of time. You're wasting your money, time, energy, etc. Just know that it's an inconvenience, but the way we look at it, it's the sign that spring is coming, and we're finally getting out of the cold, dreary weather and moving into some nice, warm weather like we have now. Again, that is a common complaint we hear from people about the Raleigh area, but look at it as the bright side. The plants are blooming. It's time to get out and enjoy the great outdoors again. The next big complaint we get here in our area is there's not enough restaurants. So if you're coming from Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, New York City, Boston, etc., you're probably going to complain there's not a lot of restaurants here in our area. But I will say our area packs quite a punch for its size. Restaurant-wise, there are truly a lot of restaurants in our area. You just have to search out and find them. For example, if you live in LA or you're from LA, you probably have 2,000, 3,000 Korean restaurants to choose from. Here in our area, we have maybe 20, but that doesn't diminish the fact that the restaurants we have are really, really good. It just means you're gonna have to search them out and look for them. Bottom line, if you want a specific kind of food, we probably have it here in the Raleigh area. You're just gonna have to Google it or go on Yelp and search it out, and know that you're probably gonna have to drive 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to get from where you live to where this particular type of cuisine is. Just know that it is unfortunately a factor of our area, but we are growing. We're seeing new restaurants come in all the time. And by the way, if you're into the hip and trendy restaurants like Nobu or Din Tai Fung, no, we do not have those here, but things are coming, things are on their way. And it seems like just about every week something new and cool is opening up. For example, the RH Gallery, formerly Restoration Hardware, put one of those 3-story giant gallerias in Raleigh in North Hills. There's only like 25, 30 on the whole planet, and one of them is in Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, they put their bistro at RH on the top floor. It's super cool. Just about every month, as a reward for being one of our top agents, we take our top 3 agents to the RH Bistro for a great lunch. This is a really, really cool, hip, trendy place. You feel like you're in another city. It's just one small sign of things that are changing and changing rapidly in the Raleigh area. And as a side note, if you're a major foodie, you probably will notice that there are no restaurants in the Raleigh area, or really in anywhere in North Carolina, that has any designation from Michelin, the Michelin stars. Well, good news on this front. Michelin just announced just a week or two ago that they are coming to North Carolina, that they're going to start reviewing restaurants in North Carolina. I definitely imagine Heron's in Cary and Second Empire in downtown Raleigh, and I'm certain something in Durham will receive honorable mention or a Michelin star or 2, and they'll receive that in the very, very near future. So I think that's a really good telltale sign of things that are going to be happening in the future as restaurants in our area start getting those designations. Other restaurants like Nobu and Din Tai Fung may particularly take notice of us and potentially move in our direction. The next big complaint we hear from people moving into our area is that drivers are too courteous and drive too slow. So yes, we hear it all the time. Drivers around here, locals, move too slow. They drive too slow. They either drive the speed limit or a little under the speed limit all the time. And I understand that's an aggravation, especially someone who's local and I drive the speed limit or slightly ahead of the speed limit. I understand it's your aggravation of this, but do know and understand this. Wake Forest, for example, back in 1990, had 5,400 residents, 5,400 residents in 1990. Today in 2025, there are over 62,000 people living in Wake Forest. So you can imagine if you were one of those 5,400 and you were driving along in your country town, small rural town, and all of a sudden they put in a 6-lane highway and you're like getting buzzed by newcomers, you can imagine that's a little bit disconcerting. So just put yourself in their shoes. They're trying to get from point A to point B and live through the culture shock of their little town becoming a big city. And this is going on all over the Triangle, Raleigh included. There were like 220,000 people in Raleigh in 1990, and now there's like 700,000. I don't know the exact number, but you get the point. There's lots of people all over everywhere in our area. And so if you're a local that's grown up here and are used to small town, quiet stuff where you can make an easy left-hand turn, well, you can't make an easy left-hand turn anymore. So just a growing pain again of a rapidly growing area that we have here in the Raleigh area. And as far as courteous drivers, there is a huge debate going on right now, and it kind of goes along with all the road construction we're going on. So there's two rules of thumb or two ways you can manage road construction. You know when they merge lanes down and you have to have everyone on the right side merge into the left side? Well, us Southerners go about that the logical, courteous way. As soon as we see that sign saying, please get over, a mile back from when you actually have to get over, we make the radical move of getting over. But then there's the newcomers, and you know who you are. You use this alleged zipper method where you basically race to the front and hope nice Southerners are going to let you in. Well, it's super aggravating for us type A personalities that you do that. While we can certainly see both sides of this issue, it's probably easier to go with the old school Southern method of going ahead and getting in the back side of this line, because that way we're all going to get there a little bit quicker. And Chris Morton doesn't lose his head and explode brains all over the inside of his car. Just a thought. Thank you. The next big complaint we hear from newcomers to our area is traffic is worse than we expected. Now, this is completely subjective based on whatever area you're from. Certainly, if you are in downtown Los Angeles, or you're trying to travel into downtown Los Angeles, it's probably not that bad driving from point A to point B in the Triangle. But however, if you're from a smaller town, it's probably really aggravating to deal with all of the traffic that we have here in the Raleigh area. Basically, you can't get anywhere in under 15 minutes. It's really a big problem we have. And again, it's all the growth we have. They're building new roads to accommodate it, but we still have the traffic situation. And the odd thing is, this traffic snarling happens in some relatively unexpected places. Fuquay-Varina is like the perfect idyllic southern small rural town, but Fuquay-Varina gets traffic jams. There's just a lot of people that live in that area. The roads are fairly limited at this point. They're again building more, but you can actually have traffic jams in some of our smaller cities like Fuquay-Varina. Now, I'm not saying that all of the traffic around Fuquay-Varina or any of the other smaller towns is always terrible, but if you're not used to living in a rapidly growing area, it can be a bit of a shock to you that this is going on out in small town America. Especially if you were planning on living in a quiet town and all of a sudden you're dealing with all this traffic while you're trying to get to Target or Walmart or Lowe's or wherever. Know that there are some towns in our area where you still can get that small town experience with not a lot of traffic, but they tend to be a little further out from the major cities and major towns. Just something you may want to prepare for and plan for. Consult with your real estate agent. If you're working with us, you certainly can ask our advice on this topic, and we'll be happy to help you out and guide you in areas where there's some towns that maybe is going to give you more of that smaller town feel than other areas where it's a little bit hustly and bustly. The next big complaint we hear from newcomers, there's no major sports teams other than college teams. So the Raleigh area does not have Major League Baseball, does not have the NFL, doesn't have an NBA team. We do, however, have the Carolina Hurricanes, which is the professional NHL hockey team. But by and large, other than the Hurricanes and our two minor league baseball teams, the Carolina Mudcats and the Durham Bulls, The only teams around here that you can cheer for, root for, are the college teams, primarily UNC Chapel Hill, Duke University, NC State, NC Central, and Shaw. So this is a big negative for a lot of people that are used to going to see Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, etc. You're going to have to drive to get to one of those teams. The closest NBA team is Charlotte Hornets in Charlotte. Closest NFL team is the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte. You also can go to Atlanta, Washington, D.C., etc. to get to see a lot of professional teams. Now, there are rumblings that Raleigh is on the short list to get a Major League Baseball team. More on that as it comes into focus, but just know that we are a growing area, so it is likely that we will eventually get more pro teams than just our great hockey team, something you need to prepare for if you're moving here. The next big complaint we hear from a lot of newcomers to the Raleigh area is there's just no nightlife here. Unfortunately, in our area, most everything closes down, all the excitement ends around 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And there's just very little to do in most of the Triangle area. Now, of course, if you visit the areas around our three major universities, again, UNC Chapel Hill, Duke University in Durham, or NC State University in Raleigh, there's going to be some nightlife and bars and activities and stuff going on until 2, 3 in the morning around those college towns. Unfortunately, I just gave you the operative word, college. A lot of it is centered around college life, and if you are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you probably don't want to hang around with 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Just my theory on that matter. So there's not a whole lot of activity going on or fun things to do. Now, we do have downtown Raleigh, we have Glenwood South in Raleigh, we have North Hills in Raleigh, and downtown Durham as places where you can go to a cocktail bar or go dance clubbing, I think. I'm a little out of that phase of my life, so I don't really know, but I know there's some opportunities to do stuff. You just have to seek it out. It's sort of like the restaurants we talked about earlier in this video. They do exist, you just have to seek them out. But if you plan to move to Clayton, Garner, Fuquay-Varina, Holly Springs, and go out clubbing every night, you're probably moving to the wrong parts of the Raleigh Triangle area. Sorry. The next big complaint we hear from folks moving to the Raleigh area, we have very limited public transportation. So there is no light rail system in our area. About 10 years ago, the government peoples came up with the brilliant idea of a light rail system, and it flopped during the proposal stage because mainly it was going nowhere. It literally would, like, the points that you could access weren't anything that anyone really used, so it wasn't going to end up reducing any traffic that we had in our area. In fact, you'd probably have to get in your car, drive to a big parking lot, get on the train, and go 2 miles down the road. It kind of defeated the purpose. The primary problem we have with the rail system is we just are so spread out here. It's unrealistic to think that you could get a light rail system that would go from, say, Rollsville or Wake Forest into downtown and then over to Research Triangle Park. It just doesn't work. It's not efficient. It's not going to be a good use of money at this point. So bottom line, if you are planning on move to the Raleigh, North Carolina area, you're probably going to need a car to get around from point A to point B. We're very much a car-focused type of area. The next big complaint we hear about the Raleigh area is rapidly increasing cost of housing with very limited supply. Home prices have gone up significantly over the past few years, and we've kind of detailed it here on this channel. All of the longtime viewers on here have probably heard us bemoaning this issue. But still today, people have a perception that you can move to Raleigh and get a really great, large, giant home for $100,000, $150,000. And unfortunately, that's no longer the case. Yes, we certainly have prices that are way lower than you're going to find in Austin, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Miami, Charleston, Orlando, Charlotte, and a lot of the other cities around us. But that is small comfort to people that are coming here expecting to be able to get a big home for a little price instead of being stuck getting a little home for a big price. Our advice to you before moving to the Raleigh area, do your research. Look what your money is going to buy you. Our team of very experienced real estate brokers are more than happy to lend a hand to give you some advice in this direction, to guide you to where your dollar goes farther, and that we can make sure your budget matches up to the home you want. So reach out to us at the info below. Be happy to help you out. The next big complaint we hear from people as they move to the area is overdevelopment. So we've talked about how the area is growing rapidly, and so of course that's going to result in some overdevelopment and some density issues that are going to happen in a lot of the area. I can think of in downtown Raleigh, they've started building some really narrow, tall homes that sort of look like detached 3-story townhomes. That's just a factor of the growth that we're experiencing here in the area, and stuff we need to get used to. This is a common frustration for a lot of people. But again, remember, we are one of the fastest growing areas in the entire United States. So it's natural to feel like there's crowding or overdevelopment going on. Luckily, there's a lot of construction and accessibility out in the smaller towns around the Raleigh area like Garner, Angier, or Fuquay-Varina. So you're able to move there, not have all of the overcrowding and density that you can experience in, say, downtown Durham, downtown Raleigh. But you're also going to get a lot of the amenities that you're going to find in both Raleigh and Durham without having to deal with all that density. So that's certainly a solution to the aggravation and complaint that we hear about overdevelopment. Another big complaint we hear is the loss of small town charm. So a lot of people move to the Raleigh area because they want that small town vibe. And Raleigh has had a reputation for many years of being sleepy, tranquil, small town atmosphere, even though we have a medium-sized city. And unfortunately, that's kind of slipping away, especially when it comes to like Raleigh or Cary or Durham. Now, admittedly, there's a lot of areas around Raleigh where you can still get that small town vibe, but admittedly, if you were planning on moving to Raleigh to get the peaceful, easy feeling, that's not going to happen anymore. That southern charm is kind of fading away. Now, I do not, under any circumstances, want you to think that the small town charm that you're expecting in Raleigh is completely gone, that there's not going to be locals that are going to be nice and polite and southern. And actually, some of the top comments we get from folks moving to the area is that they're so impressed with how charming it is in our area and how nice people are here. But just know that that's a factor of growth, that charm is going to fade away slowly over time. And certainly I can imagine if you had lived here 20 or 30 years ago and moved away and just came back, you'd probably be shocked with all the changes that we've had here in the Raleigh area. Just know, again, that's a factor of the growth that we're experiencing. The next big complaint we hear from people is the feeling of being isolated, especially if you're a newcomer who's not from the South. Now, this is sort of a cultural isolation. You feel like a fish out of water. Tanner, one of the co-owners of this channel and of our team, is from Los Angeles, and he was really shocked by the big culture shift that he experienced moving from LA to Raleigh. Whereas I was born and raised in North Carolina, so I'm kind of used to the way things are here, but I can definitely see that if you were coming in from out of the South, out of the area, that it would be a bit of a culture shock to you. The good news is there are people moving from all over the country, all over the world to Raleigh. So if you sort of feel like a fish out of water, it's likely there's going to be somebody that lives, or a group of people that are from your hometown, home state, or home country. I know there's a lot of meetup groups out there and around. You can certainly make friends with people that are from where you're from, and you of course have some things in common. Bottom line, if you come here and experience this culture shock, give it a little time, meet people, and you will quickly grow to make Raleigh and the Raleigh area your home. Another big complaint we hear about our area: crowded school system with frequent redistricting. So the Raleigh, North Carolina area has some of the best schools in the entire country. And because of that, they can get very competitive. People move here specifically looking to be in a specific school. They ask us to help them buy a home in XYZ school district. And of course, if XYZ school district is super competitive and has really good academic standards, that means a lot of people are going to want to move to that district. And unfortunately, it's going to get overcrowded, and they're going to have to move some kids out of that district into another school while they're building the new school to go beside XYZ school. Now, this redistricting is certainly going to be an aggravation for a lot of people, but just know that, again, it's a factor of the growth we have going on here in our area. And by the way, due to fair housing laws, my team and I are not allowed to tell you which school is a good school versus a bad school, but we've partnered with a school consultant that we're happy to refer you to that can give you some really good advice on which school in particular is a good fit for you and your family. just know that you can reach out to us. We're happy to refer you out to that lady anytime you like. Now, before we get into the complaints that locals have about all the newcomers, and by the way, if this video is making you want to move to the Raleigh, North Carolina area, my team of experienced real estate agents and I would be honored to help you find your next dream home. Contact us at the information below. We'll be happy to get things started. So we hear a lot of complaints all the time from the locals about all the changes that are going on in the Triangle area. So let's remind you, these are things we hear. This is not us talking. This is us relaying information to you, so do not shoot the messenger. Number one complaint that we hear quite often among the locals directed towards the newcomers is a lot of newcomers talk too loud, especially in public settings. So the South, especially North Carolina, we are generally quiet. I've been accused of having a loud voice. I apologize if you've ever had to deal with that. But most Southerners, North Carolinians, are quiet. We don't like loudness. We don't like showing off. Lots of newcomers are not quite that way. Just know that that is a complaint people have about newcomers, that they talk too loud. The other thing, of course, we kind of touched on it a little itsy bit here in this video, that is rude drivers. Most locals don't really care for the rude drivers that run up on you and honk because how dare you go 50 in a 45 zone instead of 90 in a 45 zone. And so that really grates on locals' nerves, the rude drivers. The next big aggravation we hear from locals about people moving here is that a lot of people move here wanting to experience and enjoy the Southern culture. But when they get here, they don't adopt all of the things that make Southern culture so great. So of course, these would be things like saying good morning and good night and hello to perfect strangers, holding doors for perfect strangers, not honking and going 90 in a 45 zone, those kind of things. So you move here, you want the whole Southern charm, but you're not Southern charming back. So just FYI, that's a criticism we hear from people. And of course, the big complaint that locals have about newcomers is when newcomers say, things were better where I'm from. Now, North Carolinians can't agree on anything. However, I promise you, if you say, things were better where I'm from, in a crowd of North Carolinians, you would be shocked how unified we become. You will have many people passing a hat along to take up donations to help you out to move back. There will even be some volunteers to help drive you back to wherever you're from. All jokes aside, the locals here in our area, us local North Carolinians, are really, really, really proud of being from North Carolina. And there's other areas of the country where they don't mind you insulting the area. We mind. It's a big deal for us. So if you don't like how we do things here, you may want to consider moving back. That is the local saying. It's what we believe. We welcome all to come. But if you want to complain that we don't have this, we don't have that, we do this, we do that, it might not be a good place for you. Just saying. That's what I hear. Not what I'm saying. It's what I hear. So what complaints or positives do you have about our area that you'd like to share with others? Please comment below. We love to get your reactions and share those with everyone out there and possibly do a part 2 of this video down the road. And if you're considering a move to the area, our contact information is below. My team and I would be honored to help you buy your new Raleigh area home. And check out this video. We think you're really going to like this one as well. Like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.